this Ramadan.
The time is just gone 15 minutes to 5 on the Iftar Drive this afternoon, right here on Salam Media, and we'll be with you right until the time of Iftar in Johannesburg at around 5 minutes past 6, inshallah, this afternoon. But we will continue nevertheless, and Alhamdulillah, we are enjoying the beauty, the blessings of this beautiful month of Ramadan with relative ease and comfort. But looking at our brothers and sisters right across the entire world, particularly looking at Palestine, looking at Masjid al-Aqsa and what has been unfolding in Masjid al-Aqsa in the last 2-3 days, the brutality and this merciless Zionist regime and entity called Israel perpetrating these horrific crimes as people are into this month of Ramadan, as many people are making their way to Aqsa from right across the entire world to perform the annual itikaf, and we see these horrific images of brutality playing out. And this is the reason why we are joined, alhamdulillah, this afternoon by Naazim Adam, who is with the Palestine Solidarity Alliance, and also Dr. Ahmed Jazbhay with the Media Review Network. To both of you, Naazim, and to Dr. Jazbhay, assalamu alaikum and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam. Shukran for having me.
Yes, Naazim, you know, the point, I think, just before we go on air, and as you mentioned, and we're enjoying a wonderful Ramadan, a peaceful Ramadan. But what has been playing out in Al-Aqsa, in Palestine, now we expected, we know Ramadan comes and Ramadan goes, every Ramadan without fail. But this time around, it appears as if this Zionist entity has taken this brutality to another level.
Unfortunately, we are experiencing it for a number of years now. But Masjid al-Aqsa, a symbol of resistance in its own right, is a thorn in the side of the Zionists. We understand that they claim that this is a holy site for them. We know that there is no archaeological evidence to this effect. Very much like the spurious claims that Palestine belongs to them. So it's going to be an ongoing battle. The attack on the Palestinian people this year alone has been very brutal and very bloody. And this is symptomatic of a racist new government. Well, they've all been racist, but this far more right-wing, aggressive, fascist government that Netanyahu has put together. So certainly this brutality is going to increase, and so will the resistance. From us, I think as solidarity, we need to build our unity and our strength to lend support to the struggle of the Palestinian people. We're seeing the extrajudicial killings. We're seeing the snipers taking out innocent people, the young doctor that was killed a few days ago. We're seeing settlers shooting Palestinians with impunity, burning their homes and so forth. So this is an ongoing thing. And we, as solidarity activists, as believing people who believe in human rights and justice, we need to stand firm in our struggle against the Zionist racist regime in any way possible. Masjid al-Aqsa is sacred to us as Muslim people across the globe. The attack on Masjid al-Aqsa is not just an attack on the Palestinian people. It's an attack on 1 billion Muslims across the globe. And I think that must raise us from our slumber as an ummah to say that we can and we must do more to protect Islam and to defend Islam and stand up for what is haq, what is just, and what is right, inshallah.
Well, clearly, and also to bring Dr. Ahmed Jazbhay into the discussion, and we've seen shocking eyewitness footage of what has been taking place inside Al-Aqsa, showing how merciless the Israeli occupation forces have been. But also at the same time, we are in the month of Ramadan. This is a holy month. This is a month of spirituality. And using occasions like the Jewish Passover, using a religious holiday as an excuse to get into Masjid al-Aqsa. We've seen not very long ago, in the last few days, we've seen what was done in India as well, the targeting of mosque in the name of the Ram festival. And we see the similarity between the two, but both of them equally brutal in every sense of the word, Dr. Jazbhay.
Yes, Inayat. These attacks on Al-Aqsa has now become a yearly ritual for the Zionist entity. The fact that this year coincides with Passover is an excuse used by the national security minister, the ultra right wing terrorist convict Itamar Ben Gvir, to inflict more harm on the Palestinian population who want to use Ramadan. And we know Ramadan is a time of itikaf. It's not only the last 10 nights, it can be nafil itikaf throughout the month of Ramadan. And we've seen these attacks now becoming more brutal year in and year out, which is why we feel that more needs to be done from us here in South Africa, which can be done. We know there are many now that will the next day or two be leaving for itikaf, and those will potentially be in harm's way. But the mere presence there is a source of resistance, and we call upon resistance from all quarters. We are not powerless here in South Africa to assist the Palestinians. We must understand that we have our power, and I'm sure we'll go into that the course of this interview.
Well, definitely. And also, Nazim, I see. Okay, Nazim is on audio. There we go.
No, sorry.
Okay. Yes, Nazim, also, I think just, from what Dr. Ahmed Jazbhay is saying again, is, every excuse in the book. But again, when one looks at, this whole argument that is, and we know there's been an outcry right across the entire world. We've seen countries like Turkey. We've seen many countries right across the entire world expressing their concern. And we've seen this in the past as well. Every time Israel goes and they overstep their mark, and when they become part of this brutality, attacking people for religious reasons. The key issue here is the world is watching, yet Israel continues, unchecked, and regardless of what the global opinion is, they will still continue doing what they're doing.
Unfortunately, the impunity that Israel enjoys politically, diplomatically, and even in mainstream media is part of the problem. So those that are feeding this narrative of two balanced sides that are clashing, those people that are buying the spin of the Israeli state, and those that are giving just blanket support for Israel no matter what, they are all complicit in the racism, in the gross human rights violations, in the genocide that is taking place on a daily basis. I think we need to understand that for us, as Muslims, we know the sacredness of Masjid al-Aqsa, and I think we need to share this with the rest of the world in terms of a blessed, a holy place, a place of sanctity, a place of refuge, meant to be a place of peace for humanity. And we also know that in the initial stages, in earlier negotiations, there was a proposal put that Jerusalem should be a independent state overseen by the United Nations, so that all religions could be treated fairly and equally. Over the years, that has eroded because Israel wants it all, and they get it all. They push and push until even with the negotiations in the 90s, they continue up until this day to build more and more settlements and to invite these settlers or to take over Palestinian lands. And it is this debt that this government owes to the settlers that is fueling this attack on Masjid al-Aqsa this year. The settlers, and they are very right-wing, very, very racist, and very, very anti-Muslim and anti-Christian. They even want to pass laws preventing the reading of the gospel in Jerusalem. This is how fundamentally racist these right-wing settler communities are, and they have placed these new politicians in power. Hence, they owe a debt to them, and that's why they want to do this ritual cult sacrifice of animals at Masjid al-Aqsa. There is no basis for that, even in Judaism, that they need to do this at Masjid al-Aqsa. They want to do that to provoke and to agitate. But let's not also be blind to the fact that this is politics. This is, they expect the reaction, and they will get the reaction from the Muslim Ummah. They will get rocket fires. There may even be a war that breaks out on the southern border of Lebanon because of this. And all of that is to distract them from the fact that Israel is now openly a failed democratic state, a pseudo-democratic failed state. Their leadership is corrupt. They want to subvert their own laws so that they can remain in power and change things to suit themselves. And to have a tactical war at this stage is quite strategic for keeping these rogues in power for a longer time, obviously, because they will now lager as the racist state and its citizens, all of them who are complicit in this genocide of the Palestinian people. So for us, I think there is that, and there is also this just blatant anti-Muslim, anti-Christian impure value system that is sort of encompassed all of the Jewish Israeli state.
Yes, Naazim, also Dr. Ahmed Jazbhay, as Naazim mentioned, democracy, but a so-called only democracy in the Middle East, beating worshippers that are praying in a mosque. And that says a lot about the democracy. But also Naazim touched on the whole political dynamics that have been playing out in Israel to basically shy away from the pressure that people like Netanyahu is. We know that we've seen the protests that have taken place within Israel as well. So a lot is actually playing out. But again, looking at our response as a Muslim Ummah, what should our response be?
I think the political aspect is out there for everyone to see. Israel is currently in the midst of an unprecedented political crisis, a so-called democracy that wants to strip the powers of the judiciary, put those powers in the legislature, all in aim to protect Netanyahu first and to further the agenda of the settlers. And we've seen in the past, whenever there's a political crisis in the Zionist entity, there's a war, for example, on Gaza or in the West Bank or wherever the case may be. So it's a perfect distraction tactics. But as the Muslim Ummah, to come to that point, there are a number of things that we can do. Firstly, the normalization brigade. The 4 countries that normalized 2 or 3 years ago. It was. That normalization needs to end. Formal end. The weak statements that are issued are nothing more than saving face amongst the population. Normalization is incredibly unpopular amongst the population of the 4 countries. Then Turkey, which again jumped back into bed with Israel, needs to withdraw those diplomatic relations. These are very important things. We have to start from the top. We see Saudi Arabia issued some sort of statement today condemning the incursions and the stormings, but we know that the Saudis want that normalization as well. They're just waiting for the correct time in which to do it. But from the case of the people, I mean, here in South Africa, Naazim will know that there is the case in which we are attempting to prosecute South African citizens who have served or who are serving in the Israeli army. In contravention of the Foreign Military Assistance Act, that is something we can do, and we are going to take the next step in the next month or so. So there are things that we can do. Then when it comes to the normal person who's sitting at home or works from home or at the office, listening to the mainstream media radio stations, frequently in the mornings, there is these open lines. It's one thing crying about Al-Aqsa and making dua, which is very important, but there are also practical measures we can do. The ordinary person, phone in and get your voice across, get your narrative across. There's this narrative that the Palestinian struggle is only about human rights and so on. Yes, that's one aspect, in a bid to internationalize the struggle for Palestinian liberation. We have gone the route of human rights and so on. But ultimately, it's about the protection of Al-Aqsa, first and foremost, and the protection of Palestine as a whole. And we are in the Palestinian struggle for liberation for the protection of Al-Aqsa, first and foremost, and the protection of Palestine as a whole. We can influence our narrative in that sense uh, by contributing to mainstream media. You get op-eds in newspaper articles. You get your letters to the editors. Phone into SAFM and other media outlets. Phone in and get your voice across in the morning, especially between I think 9 and 11. You get these open lines on talk radio stations. It is to we don't have to sit powerlessly and say that the Zionist entity is all powerful. It's protected by veto wielding power at the United Nations, which is the United States of America. There are a number of elements we can do. Is that to ensure that we call upon Turkey, we call upon the normalizing state, call upon states that want normalization with Israel to withdraw that support. That normalizing is an incredible PR stunt for Israel. It frequently uses that. And also, we have social media. We've seen that Israel and its Arab sympathizers have these influences, I think you call them, that usually tweet and favorable things. I've seen it today when an Arab influencer from the UAE as well as another one from the UK, basically condoning what happened at Al-Aqsa. So we can jump onto that social media as well, and to counter these paid influencers. They are paid by Israel, they're paid by the US, they're even paid by their own governments to to spit their venom. We had one of them here. I think it was Yosef Haddad. I think his name is. He's an Arab, so-called Arab Israeli, a Christian, and he's an incredible paid influencer for the state of Israel. So we can counter that in our own media. We see DIRCO issued a very strong statement today, but DIRCO can go a step further. It can, liaise with the NPA to prosecute those individuals. I mean, in open contravention of our own laws. We have the laws. Why is the NPA not prosecuting? The evidence has been provided to them. Why are they not prosecuting these individuals? The evidence in the open is on social media as well. So as MRN, as PSA, things are being done. But we need to get this issue of the prosecution, for example, if I can touch on one issue in detail, into the mainstream media agenda to ensure that we put pressure on government, put pressure on the NPA to act on Israel, on South Africans who have served and are serving in the Israeli terror forces. So we are not powerless. There are things that can be done, and we must do it whatever small it is within our spheres of influence, if so be it.
Well, inshallah. Well, Dr. Ahmed Harun Jazbhay, and also to you, Naazim, Jazakallah to both of you. It's unfortunate time is of the essence. I know we can engage a lot more and go on right until the time of iftar as we continue talking. But for now, Jazakallah, and wish both of you the best, also for the rest of Ramadan. And we continue making dua for the people of Palestine, inshallah, and support them in any way and every way that we can, inshallah. So to both of you once again, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
Welcome salam, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanks.
Naazim Adam from the Palestine Solidarity Alliance and Dr. Harun Jazbhay from the Media Review Network. And this is on the Iftar Drive, the Israeli brutality against the worshippers and those that are performing Salah at Masjid al-Aqsa. And we make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy, inshallah, on the people of Palestine and all those who are suffering, because this is a brutal force. They terrorize, and what Shamima Dolly says is marches. We need to increase our numbers and bombard social media. And this is exactly what it is, because, we've seen so many comments come through. One says only Israel can cause unprecedented rampage and destruction in a holy place, then blame others for it, despite the thousands of footage circulating around with conclusive evidence of Israeli crimes. That is the mentality of the Israeli terrorists. And this is exactly exactly what it's all about. The time is just gone 5 minutes past 5, and we're going to go for a break. And it's time to join Fatima Asmal, looking at the month of Ramadan, a clean slate, and also taking a look at our link with the Quran in this noble month of Ramadan, inshallah.